Yes. So in today's session, as I said, that we are going to be understanding our journey of being in the womb, in our mother's womb, and how did it impact us in our journey. And then finally, we will end up it with, a meditation wherein we will heal the negative imprints that we created with ourselves. So हिंदी में जैसे इसको मैंने यहाँ पर भी लिखा है, इसको कहते हैं गर्भ संस्कार। गर्भ यानी कि वूम्ब, संस्कार का मतलब है एजुकेशन, यू नो, द काइंड ऑफ कंडीशनिंग दैट वी रिसीव व्हाइल वी आर इनसाइड द मदर्स वूम्ब। और वूम्ब को इतनी ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंस क्यों है? Why there is so much of importance to the womb? Because as I said that the womb is the very first station that we stop at before we begin to live our life fully on the earth, right? We It's kind of an attunement time wherein we sit inside the mother's womb, not fully interacting, through our own actions in the world, yet we have, yet we are in the world, right? And we watch the world, we express the world, we kind of experience it by sitting in our mother's belly, right? And when we are in the womb, we are totally in the space that, we are able to absorb whatever comes our way. The human psychology says that as children, we absorb like a sponge whatever happens in our family, whatever happens with our parents, whatever happens in our surroundings, we absorb it like a sponge. So friends, if as a child we absorb it like a sponge, I'm sure you can understand what is the potential of absorbing when we are inside the mother's womb. And it we simply kind of fully get influenced not only by the physical state of the mother, but by her mental state, her emotional state, her spiritual state. Everything has an impact on who we are. And our holy Vedas, our scriptures, they've spoken a lot about Garbh Sanskar. You know, I'm sure all of you, those who are parents to a child, those who are mothers here, you know, you must be knowing when you were going through the very first pregnancy, you were told to read good books, to read right scriptures, right? To read uh, like Ramayan, to read, to chant mantras, to sing bhajans. Why were you, kind of told that? So that whatever you do, your emotional, vibrational state has an impact on the child that you are going to hold or the child that you are holding. तो हमारे शास्त्रों में एक गर्भ संस्कार की एक कहानी आप सब ने सुनी होगी। जैसे जब प्रहलाद अपनी माँ के गर्भ में थे, तो प्रहलाद की माता का नाम था कयाधु। सो कयाधु वाज एन आर्डेंट फॉलोअर ऑफ लॉर्ड विष्णु। और वो भगवान विष्णु का बहुत दिल से मंत्र जाप करती थी। और एक बार क्या हुआ, उनको नारद मुनि, महर्षि नारद उनको मिलने आए और उन्होंने भगवान का ज्ञान उनको देना शुरू किया। और जब वो भगवान का ज्ञान दे रहे थे, the inside the womb, the little child Prahlad was also listening to it. He began to absorb everything that was said. And from the very day he took the birth on the earth, he took his very first breath on the earth, he became that ardent follower of Vishnu himself, because those sanskars were given to him while we were inside the mother's belly. And he became such an ardent follower to an extent that he began to, kind of cross question his father, who was a Rakshasa. You all must have heard of Hirnyakshipu. So he was his father, and he always told him that, Vishnu is a cheat, and he is not the one whom you should be worshipping. You should worship me because I am the God here. I take care of all the Rakshasas clan. So you should worship me. So that is rest is all, the history. I'm sure you know about how Narsimha Avatar came in and, kind of protected Prahlad in his journey. And not only this story, there is also the story of Rishi Ashtavakra. When Ashtavakra's mother, her name was Sujata, when she was pregnant, she would have this deep desire of, receiving gyan and listening to the deeper truth which is mentioned in Upanishads and Vedas. So she would automatically get attracted to, listening to the wisdom of others. तो जब वो गर्भ में अपने बच्चे को लेकर घूमती थी तो वो श्रुति करती थी, अपने कान से सुनती थी, ज्ञान को सुनती थी. So one fine day she was receiving the gyan, from her husband, who was kind of taking a class, and she was also, sitting in the back and listening to what he is saying. Suddenly, while the father was speaking in the form of a teacher, the womb began to, Sujata's womb began to speak. The little child from the womb began to speak. And this little child kind of contradicted the father. He said, "You're wrong. It is not like this. It is like this." That's what the child said. And when the child said this, the father, who was a teacher, he kind of felt insulted in the front of the entire class. And then he cursed the child. He said that the moment you will take a birth, you will not be a normal child. You will be a deformed child. Right? And that's why this child was named as Ashtavakra. Ashtavakra in Hindi means Ashta. Ashta means eight. Vakra means bends. Somebody who has eight bends in the body. That's what the Ashtavakra was. Now, friends, it's not about going by what Ashtavakra's body was, but I'm sure you all must have heard of Ashtavakra Gita. So he is the one who wrote Ashtavakra Gita. So such an, a divine being he was, and that. So, so this is what the importance of Garbh Sanskar is. Another story you must have heard from the pages of Mahabharata, wherein the uh, Abhimanyu, who when he was inside his mother's womb, Subhadra, he was the son of Arjuna and Subhadra. So while Subhadra was pregnant, he could listen to, the Chakravyu, how to enter the Chakravyu. He kind of got this information while he was inside the mother's womb, but he could not understand how to actually come out, how to exit the Chakravyu. So that is also one example of Garbh Sanskar that is given to us from our beautiful stories from the past. So which is why uh, the Garbh Sanskars, you know the most important thing that Garbh Sanskar speaks about is the connection between the child and the mother. So when the mother gets pregnant, she ultimately, begins to practice the unconditional giving. That is what she is learning. And when the child comes in the form of a cell, all that child knows is to receive. That's what it's a perfect balance of giving and receiving that mother and the child goes through. तो जब माँ के पेट में एक बच्चा, एक गर्भ आता है, तो सब होता क्या है, माँ और बच्चा दोनों एक दूसरे के साथ एक बहुत गूढ़ संबंध महसूस करते हैं, क्योंकि माँ उस वक्त सीखती है कि उसे अनकंडीशनल प्रेम कैसे देना है विदाउट एनी एक्सपेक्टेशन, और बच्चा रिसीव करना सीखता है, क्योंकि एक देता है और एक लेता है, जिससे उनका संबंध जो होता है वो घनिष्ठ बनता है. तो of course there are good things that we receive from our parents, because many of us are being welcomed by our parents when they kind of conceived us. But along with that, in their journey, while we are inside the mother's womb, while we are there are some negative imprints also that we frame. So for example, if the mother is not very conscious of her journey of being pregnant and giving birth to the child, it is quite likely that the mother might end up in you know uh, bringing an imprint for the child, which is not that in support of the evolution of the child, in the developmental stages of the child. So this is what we are now going to speak about. We are going to talk about the negative imprints the child may have encountered while the child was there inside the mother's womb. तो ऐसे कौन कौन सी चीजें होती हैं? गर्भ संस्कार को हम तीन स्टेजेस में बांट सकते हैं. द वूम इम्प्रिंट्स कैन बी डिवाइडेड इनटू थ्री स्टेजेस. फर्स्ट इज कंसेप्शन, the second one is gestation, the third one is birthing. तो सबसे पहला जो गर्भ संस्कार का स्टेज जो हम कह सकते हैं वो कंसेप्शन होता है, फिर जेस्टेशन होता है, फिर बर्थिंग होता है. मैं आप सबको थोड़ा थोड़ा इन स्टेजेस के बारे में बताऊंगा, ताकि इनमें क्या क्या जो इश्यूज हो सकते हैं उनके बारे में बताऊंगा, ताकि हम उनको अपने आप को एक तरह से मापदंड रख के देख पाएं कि मेरे जीवन में ये स्टेट, ये अवस्था कैसी थी. तो सबसे पहले कंसेप्शन स्टेज की बात करते हैं. कंसेप्शन स्टेज होता क्या है? कंसेप्शन का मतलब होता है कि जब माँ के शरीर में जो अंड होता है, जिसको हम अंडा कहते हैं, और सीमन स्पर्म होता है, जो स्पर्म और जो एग होता है, जब वो एक दूसरे से मिलते हैं तो एक एक सेल बनता है जो अपने आप को मल्टीप्लाई करने के लिए तैयार हो जाता है. और इसे जब स्पर्म और ओवम एक दूसरे से मिलते हैं तब कंसेप्शन की स्टेज होती है. और ये जो फर्टिलाइज्ड एग होता है, ये माँ के गर्भ में जाकर स्थित हो जाता है. एंड दैट इज व्हाट वी कॉल एज कंसेप्शन. Now, the way the baby is conceived has a great significance on how she or he will feel in a physical body, in the physical universe, and is connected to his life purpose. We also need to see conception stage speaks about in what ways the baby was conceived. जैसे जब गर्भ धारण हुआ था, किस अवस्था में माता पिता थे, that has an impact on the child who is being conceived. In our Vedas there is an Upanishad called Garbha Upanishad. So this Upanishad speaks about even before the child is born, the mother father must get into purifying themselves, they must get into cleansing themselves, because if they are not cleaning themselves and they are under the influence of their own negative impressions, it is going to be quite likely that the child is also going to have that. The child is also going to be kind of carrying that. So which is why the mother and father must first take their responsibility of cleaning their own self. So what could be the situations which can take which can give the wrong negative imprints, kind of negative imprints to the in the conception stage? The very first one is unwanted conception. So for example, the husband and wife, they conceived the child but they did not want to have the child. So the conception happened by an accident. ये बच्चा, ये जो गर्भ जो धारण हो गया है माँ के पेट में, ये अनवांटेड है, चाहा नहीं गया है. और आप सोच सकते हैं, जब कोई चीज चाही ना जाए और आपको मिल जाए, तो उस अवस्था में एक वरदान की तरह ये जो गर्भ मिला है उसकी क्या अवस्था होगी, उसकी क्या मनोस्थिति होगी. इन सच स्टेट्स, द वूम इन द वूम, this fetus who's growing up slowly and gradually is going to experience, that is going to be the very first experience of rejection in the life of the child. And this impression is so strong, as I said, that the womb impressions are so strong, and the child continues to grow even after the birth in the adult stage. This child will carry the deep, the imprints of being rejected. And and the since you carry this template, the life offers you more of rejection. Then everybody comes, rejects you. The basic energy of life is of rejection, right? So that is how these children usually they feel they do not belong, and they grow up in such adults who feel that they do not belong. Conceived to save flattering marriage. Somewhere, in our systems, ये भी कहा जाता है कि जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल अ हस्बैंड वाइफ अ दाम्पत्य is going through an issue in their life, a conflict between their own self. Usually घर के बड़े बुजुर्ग उनको कहेंगे कि आप बच्चा कर लो, वो बच्चा करने से क्या होगा, आप दोनों के भीतर का प्यार जो है बढ़ जाएगा. Now consider the state of this child who is being conceived only to save the marriage of their mother father. What is going to be the individual state of this child? You've already decided the fate of the child even before the child came on the earth. So this speaks about how hollow we feel when we are into the state of giving birth to a child. If you are hollow yourself, how can you feel that your child is going to be a fulfilled one, a full, complete Purnatma? It's not going to be possible, dear friends. So, parents must remember that they are not putting the burden of their own relationship on the child, right? So, this usually happens. And then desperation to conceive. A couple who's been desperate to conceive, a couple who's tried several times naturally through artificial ways, at one point in time after every failure, they become desperate to conceive. They want the child. And in that desperation, when the child comes, the child has that psyche of desperation because he is born out of that desperation. He is not born out of love. He's born out of desperation, the dire need of mother, father to feel full, right? Because their worthiness is dependent on the birth of the child now. फिर उसके बाद आता है illegitimate conception. वो बच्चा जो शादी से नहीं आया है, शादी के बाहर से किसी रिश्ते से आया है, उसको illegitimate कहा जाता है. और इस बच्चे के अपनी साइकोलॉजी होती है. ये बच्चा अपने आप को बिलोंग फील नहीं कर पाता. द चाइल्ड डजंट फील वांटेड, द चाइल्ड डजंट फील बिलोंग into the space of mother father. Right? This itself has an impact on the journey of this child. And the next one is violent conception. So for example, the conception has happened out of the couples who just had a fight before they made love to each other. वो दाम्पत्य जो एक दूसरे से बेबी पढ़ने के लिए पहले जब अपने आप एक दूसरे के नजदीक आने से पहले वो पहले लड़ाई करके हटे थे. So they are already in that violent state. They are making love in that angry state. And second thing, for example, the conception is happening from a rape. Rape जरूरी नहीं है कि किसी किसी के साथ किसी और के साथ. दाम्पत्य जीवन में भी रेप होता है. जब किसी के साथ जबरदस्ती किया जाता है तो वो रेप ही है, वो वायलेंट अवस्था का स्टेट है. और जब उस अवस्था में जो बेबी पैदा होगा, आप समझ सकते हैं उस बच्चे की अवस्था क्या होगी. द चाइल्ड विल कैरी द एंगर, द अनरिजॉल्व्ड एंगर ऑफ द मदर, right? The child will carry the pain of the mother. And the next one is conceived during bankruptcy or financial stressors. जैसे कोई बच्चा अपनी माँ पिता के उस वक्त कंसीव हुआ जब माता पिता एक फाइनेंशियल स्ट्रेस से जा रहे थे. हर माता पिता कोशिश करता है दैट दे गिव द बेस्ट ऑफ यू नो बेस्ट ऑफ एवरीथिंग टू देयर चिल्ड्रन. But financial stress is something which can make them think twice about having the child or not having the child. So if a family is going through a tough financial state, the child might feel that I am not wanted here. They don't want to welcome me because they have their own issues. They will not be able to take care of me. So it's better I make an exit. And conceived due to drug or alcohol addicted parents. जो पेरेंट्स जो जैसे ड्रग्स के साथ या शराब के नशे में थे एंड दे मेड लव, द चाइल्ड कैरीज द इम्प्रिंट्स ऑफ दैट एडिक्शन. द चाइल्ड कैरीज दैट टॉक्सिक the chemical that released from the drugs or the alcohol the mother father consumed, right? So that is also impacting the conception. And conceived during serious illness of other loved important family members. घर में कोई बीमार है और since the mother's state is connected to that the one who is ill, the father's state is connected to the one who is ill, it has a direct impact on their ability to make love and the quality of the sperm and the ovum that gets created, because everything is interlinked with their state of stress, right? So through their love making, they are passing their DNA of either love, stress to the child. And conception during or after wars or acts of terrorism. So, for example, the conceptions, that happen wherein a family has gone through, kind of a traumatic situation in the outside place, wherein the child carries the imprint. So the mother father kind of passes the fear to the child, right? इस अवस्था में होता क्या है, गर्भ को वो डर जो माता पिता का जो गर्भ होता है, जो डर होता है, वो बच्चे के भीतर चले जाता है. और मेंटल इमोशनल और फिजिकल स्टेट जो माता पिता की होती है, that also has an impact on the child. So what is mother thinking while she is in the state of conception? What is her emotional state? Is she feeling being not being wanting to do this? Is she feeling overburdened? Is she feeling pressurized? And same goes with the father. Is he feeling that it's too much of pressure to have a child? All these things have an impact on the conception stage. It kind of defines the very quality of the conception. So this is about the conception stage. Now let me speak to you about the second stage, which we call as the gestation stage. अब gestation stage का मतलब क्या है? वो समय जो 9 महीने का समय जो हम अपनी माँ के पेट में गुजारते हैं, that is called gestation, मेरे प्यारे दोस्तों. So the unborn child is a feeling, remembering, aware being, because he is what happens to him. What happens to us all in the 9 months between conception and birth molds and shapes personality, drives, and ambitions in a very important ways. So पहले जो स्टेज मैंने आपसे डिस्कस की थी उसमें बताया था कि गर्भ कैसे धारण हुआ है, किस अवस्था में धारण हुआ है. अब गर्भ धारण हो गया, अब ये जो 9 महीने का समय है, ये कैसा समय है? दैट स्टेज इज कॉल्ड द जेस्टेशन स्टेज. और 9 महीने में जो माँ के साथ होता है, दैट impacts the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual state of the child. It impacts the energy of the child. जैसे being a life coach, I meet a lot of people. They, when they speak to us about their own journey, as to how they were conceived, or, for example, this mother who was pregnant and she didn't want to have a child because first she felt that she is not ready to have that child. Now the state of this child is going to be the unwanted. I do not belong here. That is also what we create. Another one is, जैसे माँ ने गर्भ धारण किया, घर में प्रेशर है कि लड़का होना चाहिए, लड़की नहीं होनी चाहिए, पर माँ के पेट में लड़की है. So this girl is going to carry the imprints, the pressure of proving herself that she is equal to males. So it is quite likely when she comes on the earth, she is more manly rather than who she truly is, right? So that is also one of the reasons why homosexuality is there, why we are oriented to the same sex. Although this is perfectly fine, but all I mean to say is that how the thought pattern, how the yes and no's, how the psyche of the mother, father, and the loved ones around impacts the upbringing of the child. So the conscious and unconscious ambivalence about pregnancy. So, for example, there is a doubt. The mother, after having the act of making love, so she is in a state of doubt. होगा कि नहीं होगा, मैं pregnant हूँ कि नहीं हूँ. There is a constant state of confusion. There is no clarity about that. And when there is no clarity about that, for example, the mother is pregnant and the mother doesn't have any clarity about that. If she doesn't have the clarity, she is not able to form the initial connect with the child, because somewhere she is in her own unclear world. So that is the ambivalence about pregnancy. It's about the confusion that gets created. Fetal exposure to toxins ingested willingly or unwillingly by the mother. So all that, the toxins that the mother kind of consumes through her pregnancy times. At times we are being put on so much of medicines, so much of injections. So all these toxins get absorbed by the child because the child feels the pain, and child absorbs all the imprints out of it. So this has an impact on the us being in the mother's womb. And the next one is long standing stress during pregnancy. अगर माँ को उस टाइम में, पिता को उस टाइम में long standing stress रहा हो, they've been under a lot of stress. I remember, there was a lady who had come to us. She was in a long standing stress, and the stress was, of course, she has to produce a boy child. And the second stress was she had to do all the household chores that her mother-in-law had told to her. So 9 months time, she kind of running on her toes, and she could not rest properly. And eventually, what happened to her, as she grew older, she kind of developed Parkinson's in her body. When we did a session wherein we spoke to the Parkinson disease told her that you have never rested, right? And that actually started a lot of imprints kind of strengthened, not only for the child but for the mother also in the gestation stage. So this has a mixed impact on the child and the mother. And the next one is the birthing stage. Now the the conception has happened, the gestation has happened, now comes the birthing time. The child is now going to be delivered on the earth, into the lap, into the hands and the lap of the mother, right? So this has an impact itself. The way we experience the birth and the way we are handled during the birth speaks volume about the psyche that flourishes in us. So how were we handled while we were taking birth, and what was happening to us during that state? it kind of impacts the psyche. So let me speak to you about that. So, for example, were we an abnormal birth, like the delayed labor, fast birth, breech, cesarean, induced, cord around the neck, forceps? What kind of a birth we were, attempted abortions, what kind of a birth we were. So because this has an impact on who we are. So for example, if somebody was let's say delayed labor, आप जब पैदा हुए, आप किस क्रिया से पैदा हुए? डिलेड लेबर. आपकी माँ को जो लेबर पेन्स थी वो लेट आई. So what is the state of this child? When this child grows up and as an adult, it is quite noticed, that such people, they are slow in their nature, because these impressions, the slowness impressions, were created while they were inside the mother's womb. And right opposite to it is the fast birth, wherein the child, even the mother could prepare for the pregnancy. The child came in and kind of was right up here, out. So such children, they are more impatient. They they grow up with the psychology of being impatient. They cannot wait. They, time and tide waits for none, right? They are in such state. And children who go through breach, right? Breech children, they have a psychology. The adults who've experienced breach, they have a psychology that I hurt people. Usually, people get hurt through me, so they are mostly into the energy of being guilty. That's what they experience. And cesarean. So usually, children who are cesarean. So what happens in a C-sec baby is the child is taken out from the mother's womb, right? They feel that one, they are coming from a wrong path, they are on a wrong path. Second thing, they have difficulty completing things, because as a caesarean child, you started something but you could not end this in the same way, in the normal way. So such children, they grow up with the psychology of that they have difficulty completing something. And children who are induced, children go through the induced, their mother is being induced labor. They are given the pain so that the child can take birth. So these induced children, they have trouble initiating new things, because they are so cozy inside the mother's womb, they didn't want to come. And such children are also are procrastinating adults, right? They put things on tomorrow. They will say कि कल करेंगे, परसों करेंगे, because they are so cozy in their own world. They don't want to initiate. Cord around the neck. Such children जिनके आसपास अपनी umbilical cord घूमी होती है उनके गले के, they usually have issues with the throat. They have issues with their expression. और भी जो चीज देखी गई है, they have respiratory issues like asthma, cord around the neck. That is what they carry. Forceps. So forceps में क्या होता है? The child is being picked up with kind of an instrument that brings the child out if the child is being stuck inside the mother's womb. So such children, they have anger, of being controlled. They feel that somebody controlled and I don't have the control on my own self. So when they grow up into the similar sort of adult, wherein they feel that everybody tries to control me, everybody tries to pin me down, and they get triggered the moment somebody tries to manipulate them, control them, because they kind of experienced it when they were inside the mother's womb. Attempted abortions. Such children, they carry the anger of the mother, father. They carry the guilty that mother attempted the abortion, but it was an unsuccessful attempt, and they came on the earth. Right? So they feel guilty of adding problems to their mother's kitty or their father's kitty, because they are now to be taken care by them. So twins also have an experience. So for example, the very first child, the first twin, in the sense the one who comes first from the mother's belly, this twin might have an issue of being guilty of being first, that every time I come first, everything comes to me first. And the second one might carry the anger of being the second, right? That I am always in the secondary place, I am never considered to be the first one. And in between they can also experience the state of that we always have to share, right? Nothing belongs to me, I am always in the state that whatever I have, it has to be shared. So such states have an impact on who we are, right? The second one is when the child takes birth, these blinding sharp lights that we see in hospital. So suddenly in the mother's womb, the child is under that true translucent, kind of a light. It is very soft in nature. But as soon as the child comes inside in this world, the child has an exposure to these sharp lights being put there. It is so difficult for the child to cope up with that, and the child builds up a thought process which says that this world is a harsh place. This world is harsh. ये बच्चा जो जन्म लेता है, और जन्म लेने के बाद होता क्या है, इनको एक तीखी लाइट्स के नीचे डाल दिया जाता है, इंक्यूबेटर्स में रख दिया जाता है. अब जब ये बच्चा तीखी लाइट के नीचे होता है, माँ के गर्भ में तो बहुत हल्का हल्का एटमॉस्फेयर है. माँ के गर्भ में तो एक पारदर्शी सी स्क्रीन है, हल्की सी स्क्रीन है, तो जिसके अंदर वो रहता है. सॉफ्ट है वो जगह. पर जैसे ही वो इस धरती पर आएगा और वो इस तीखी लाइट को फील करता है, उसको लगता है ये दुनिया जो है, ये बहुत ही हार्श है, ये बहुत ही कठोर निर्दयी है ये दुनिया. दैट इज व्हाट द काइंड ऑफ द experiences that they might develop. Application of eye drops, ear drops. So instead of being handled wherein they are welcomed, the very first thing which might happen to them is, the application in the initial times is the application of eye drops and ear drops. It can be traumatic for the child because that's a very first experience to the child. And the next one is keeping the neonate upside down. अब होता क्या है, जब बच्चा पैदा होता है, the child is being held through the the legs, the feet, and is, of course, the intent is to let the blood circulation happen. But at times it is so unconscious act, it is done in such an unconscious way that the child feels that this is the very first moment that I've come to the earth, and I've been kind of done upside down. ये बच्चे जो अपसाइड डाउन का एक्सपीरियंस अपने अंदर नोट करते हैं, उनको ये लग सकता है कि दुनिया उल्टी है, ये उल्टे लोगों की दुनिया है. दैट इज व्हाट दे क्रिएट इन देयर ओन सेल्फ. And hitting the baby on the back, the kind of spanking is being done, that is done on the back. और इस स्टेट में क्या होता है, the child feels that this place is so unwelcoming. It doesn't welcome the newborn. I'm so soft, I'm so gentle, and look how they are treating to me. And the next one is cutting the umbilical cord suddenly. So immediately, if the umbilical cord is being clipped, so the umbilical cord has all the nutrition the child needs. So in the initial times, it was never cut, all of a sudden. It was kept with the child for a very long period, and it used to shed on its own, because the child will kind of absorb all the nutrients from the umbilical cord. So that is also an experience that the child might feel unwelcomed in that space. And the next one is keeping the baby away from the mother. The very important one. When the child is being kept into the, the incubators away from the mother, the child's very, the most important need of every child, the very first need is to be given to the mother. Even if the child is, you know, is not in a healthy state, even if the child is not, even if the mother is not conscious, everything, given the fact, without an exception, the child should be given on the chest of the mother, because something happens when the mother and the child connects to each other in their heart space, right? And it is a moment wherein a lot of immunity for the child can be developed, right? And also, if the mother is not in the complete conscious state, if she is kind of gone through a troubling time through that journey, that very connection helps the mother to heal faster, because she wakes up for the child, because she wakes up that I have to give to this child. So it kind of brings the life urge in the mother. So that's what is the beauty of the child being given to the mother first, in that space. So this is what I had to share. Before we get into this meditation, I like to ask you some questions. If you have questions, please you can write those questions in the in your chat window. You can definitely write that, and I will answer those. If you have any question, please feel free to ask. Yes. So Dr. Sheetal is asking about the test tube babies and IVF babies. Of course, Dr. Sheetal, this also has an impact, on the child, because somewhere it is an unnatural process wherein it comes in the state of desperation. Remember, I spoke about in the conception stage about the desperation in pregnancy. So IVF and the test tube babies, they come in that space, right? So it definitely has an impact, because parents are so desperate to have the child that somewhere they feel not worthy if they don't have the child. Their worthiness has become so tiny that now to fill themselves with worthiness, they need that little child, right? So the child is not going to, you've already decided the fate of the child, right? Then this child, when this child grows up, all your burden, all your dreams, you're going to put on the child. If the child is going to be busy doing that, when will the child live for himself? Right? When will he grow up into an adult who has his own aspirations and dreams? That won't be possible, right? So, which is why that will have an impact, right? And Divine Supriya is asking, can children do this meditation? Of course, Supriya, children can also do this meditation. Imprints get healed at certain point of time, or it become very nature of the child. Mukesh Pandya ji, it is we can start anytime, right? Know that healing happens in the now. हमारी हीलिंग स्टेट में पास्ट फ्यूचर ऐसे नहीं होता है कि जो पास्ट में हो गया सो हो गया. हम उसे नाव में रहकर, वर्तमान में रहकर उसे हील कर सकते हैं. चाहे आप 80 साल के हैं, चाहे आप 8 साल के हैं. In the now we can heal it. So if we give our full focus, full attention, full trust into what we are experiencing, and we keep building over it, keep nurturing that experience, the past imprints are going to be resolved and they're going to be deleted, right? And Soumya, definitely we will be having a meditation right now, and we will learn how we can minimize the imprints of it. बैठ जाएं, sit comfortably, and gently close your eyes. अपने भीतर जब आप तैयार हैं, खुद को कहें मैं तैयार हूं। और इतना कहकर अपना सारा ध्यान अपनी आती जाती सांस पर केंद्रित करें। हर अंदर आती और बाहर जाती सांस एक गहरी सांस और इस गहरी सांस के साथ छोड़ते हुए सांस को अपने शरीर को शांत होने Take a long deep breath. And as you let go of this breath, allow your body to relax, relax. अपनी सांसों के साथ बने रहें। अंदर आती सांस और बाहर जाती सांस। Stay with your in breath and your out breath. Allow yourself just be. जहाँ है खुद को वही रहने, कहीं नहीं, कुछ भी नहीं करना है इस समय। फिर शरीर के साथ मन भी स्थिर हो जाएगा। With the still body, the mind is also going to get the imprint. It becomes let the mind, let the body support each other to reach stillness. अनुमति दें अपने शरीर को और मन को एक दूसरे को स्थिर करने में सहायक है। यात्रा में आगे बढ़ते हुए खुद को यह बताते हुए मुझे अपनी यात्रा की हर याद, हर इम्प्रिंट का ज्ञान है। चाहे वो मुझे अभी पता नहीं है, पर वो मेरे लिए है और उसको मैं जान सकता हूँ। all the imprints that I have in my body, even if I am not conscious about it, but I know it. I have the power to know it. So this meditation, I trust my impression. I trust my experience. I continue to stay with my breath. And as I stay with my breath, I allow myself to be taken to a beautiful nature scene of my choice. मैं खुद को अनुमति देता हूँ अपने आप को प्रकृति के बहुत सुंदर दृश्य में लेकर जाने के लिए। यह दृश्य जहाँ वो सब कुछ है जो आपको पसंद है, प्रकृति के उस दृश्य में। Give yourself the permission to be in that space. Take a walk in this nature scene as it relaxes you more. प्रकृति के इस दृश्य में खुद को भ्रमण करने का मौका दें। जैसे जैसे आप चलते जा रहे हैं, वैसे वैसे और शांत होते जा रहे हैं। मन से विचारों के बादल हट गए हैं। शरीर भी स्थिर हो गया है। मन और शरीर की इस अवस्था में आपका ध्यान मेरी आवाज के साथ एकत्रित है। While your body and your mind are in deep state of relaxation, your attention is with my voice. And in this space, while you are there, in that nature scene, as you keep moving ahead, you come across a cave. प्रकृति के इस दृश्य में जैसे जैसे आप आगे बढ़ते जा रहे हैं, आपका सामना होता है एक गुफा से। This space that feels like a cave but carries the energy of the womb in which you have spent time in your mother's body. This cave is a representation of your mother's body, your mother's womb. So give yourself the permission to enter this womb. यह गुफा आपकी माँ के गर्भ का चिन्ह है, आपकी माँ के गर्भ का रूपक है। खुद को अनुमति दें इस गुफा में प्रवेश करने के लिए। और जैसे ही आप इस गुफा में प्रवेश करते हैं, आप अपनी माँ के गर्भ के भीतर प्रवेश करते हैं। अपनी चेतना को माँ के गर्भ में ले जाते हैं। Effortlessly, you're taking your consciousness inside your mother's womb. As you enter this womb, enter this cave. Effortlessly, बिना किसी हिचकिचाहट के, you're entering your mother's womb. You're entering there. Just being there. Trust what you are feeling. Trust what you are experiencing. जो कुछ भी अनुभव कर रही हो इस गुफा के भीतर, खुद को अनुभव करने, अपने अनुभव पर पूरा भरोसा रखें। माँ के गर्भ से जुड़ी हुई जो यादें हैं, जो चिन्ह हैं, जो इम्प्रिंट्स हैं, खुद ब खुद आपकी ऊर्जा में आ रहे हैं। The imprints that belong to your times in the mother's womb. All those imprints are effortlessly coming in your space of consciousness. You're becoming aware of it. And I'd like you to take few steps inside this cave. Walk a few steps. इस गुफा में कुछ कदम चले। जैसे जैसे आप इस गुफा के भीतर चलते जाएंगे, आप अपनी चेतना को और गर्भ से जोड़ लेंगे। जैसे काल का पहिया चलता है, it's the wheel of time. You are able to connect all the stages of your womb time. I'd like you to first connect to the memories of your conception. How were you conceived? काल के इस पहिए में आप अपनी माँ के गर्भ से जुड़ी हुई सब यादों से जुड़ सकते हैं। सबसे पहले जब आप माँ के गर्भ में आए थे, उन यादों से जुड़े। Connect to the conception stage. कैसे आपकी माँ ने आपको कंसीव किया? How did your mother conceive you? Just become aware of that. Become aware of that. becoming absolutely clear to you. अनुभव बिल्कुल साफ हो रहा है आपको. माता पिता किस मनोवस्था में थे, किस शारीरिक मानसिक अवस्था में थे जब उन्होंने आपको गर्भ में धारण किया. In what stage, in what physical, mental and emotional state parents were when they were making love to each other to conceive you. And while you are conceived now, in that wheel of time, you are able to see your gestation period. गर्भ ठहरने के बाद जब आप अपनी माँ के पेट में आपका विकास हो रहा था, देखिए कैसा समय था वो. इन परिस्थितियों में आपका विकास हो रहा है आपकी माँ के गर्भ में. ऐसे संस्कार बन रहे हैं. इन सब को जाने और able to experience it clearly. At this moment, the final stage, wherein you connect with your birthing time. What was your birthing experience? You're able to connect to it through that wheel of time. काल चक्र से आप अपने लिए जान सकते हैं तीसरा पड़ाव आपका जन्म कैसे, किन परिस्थितियों में हुआ, माँ की क्या अवस्था थी, पिता की क्या अवस्था थी, सब कुछ जान सकते हैं. अष्ट have a total understanding about your womb imprints. जो गर्भ संस्कार आपने बनाए माँ के गर्भ में, उनकी सारी जानकारी एकत्रित करें. Gather the complete details. Trust your experience. देखें कि इन गर्भ संस्कारों से आपका जीवन कैसे प्रभावित हुआ. How have these imprints influenced or impacted your life? Have a look at that. Just notice that. Now is the time for us to let go of these negative imprints, telling it to yourself that I am ready now. खुद को यह बताते हुए तैयार हूं मैं इन इम्प्रिंट्स को साफ करने के लिए. And the very first thing that you're going to do right now is to call upon the divine light, the divine mother. We all have divine mother and divine father. I'd like you to call upon both of them. हम सब के पास दिव्य माता और दिव्य पिता है, जो हम सब के माता और पिता है. उनका आवाहन करें, उन्हें कहें, मुझे अपने प्रेम में भर दो, मुझे अपने आशीर्वाद से भर दो. And as you say this, you allow this divine shower of light to come from the higher planes and entering your body. जैसे ही आप उनको ये कहते हैं, स्वर्ग से उतरती हुई यह आकाश गंगा उनके आशीर्वाद के रूप में आपके भीतर प्रवेश कर रही है, आपको धो रही है. जिस प्रकार आप एक नल के नीचे खड़े होकर नहाते हैं, उसी प्रकार से यह कॉस्मिक गंगा, आकाशमय तत्व से बनी गंगा आपके शरीर को साफ कर रही है, हर स्तर पर साफ कर रही है. This divine cosmic showers that are happening from heaven, they are clearing you physically, mentally, emotionally, opening your heart. अपना दिल खुलने दे. अपना दिल खुलने दे इस अवस्था में. Open your heart completely. And in this opened heart state, you connect to your biological parents. अपने दिल खुलने की स्थिति में जहां पंखुड़ियों के समान आपका अनाहत चक्र खुल गया है, उस अवस्था में आप अपने माता पिता से जुड़ते हैं, जिन्होंने आपको यह शरीर दिया, जिन्होंने आपको जन्म दिया, जिन्होंने आपका पालन पोषण करा. अपने माता पिता को अपने सामने महसूस करें. उनके आगे झुकें. अपने अपना सिर झुकाएं. Bow down in front of your parents. And tell them, thank you for everything. मेरे प्रिय माता पिता, मुझे सब कुछ देने का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. मैं समझ सकता हूँ कि किन परिस्थितियों में आपने मेरा पालन पोषण किया. I can understand under what circumstances, under what conditions you have raised me up. Thank you for everything. हर चीज का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. जो संस्कार जो आपने मुझे दिए, उसके लिए मैं सदा आभारी रहूंगा. All the sanskars that you have given to me, I will always be grateful for it. And the impressions, the imprints that are not supporting me in my journey, that I absorbed from you, very respectfully, I let it go. मेरे प्रिय माता पिता, कोई भी नकारात्मक संस्कार जो मैंने आपसे अपने भीतर ले लिया हो, कोई संस्कार जो मेरा सहायक ना हो, बहुत ही आदर पूर्वक मैं उसे यहाँ छोड़ता हूँ. और जब आप छोड़ रहे हैं, 3 गहरे लंबे सांस ले. When you are leaving that, you have to take 3 long deep breaths. Breathe in the divine energy which is coming from the heaven, the cosmic Ganga, and breathe out that doesn't support you. हर अंदर आती सांस के साथ अपने शरीर में यह आकाश गंगा को उतारें, और बाहर जाती सांस के साथ अपने शरीर से बाहर जाने दें, जो आपके विकास में आपका सहायक नहीं है. And at this moment, I'd like you to feel that your mother, father are standing behind you. Your mother standing towards your left side behind you, your father standing towards your right side behind you, and they are keeping one hand each on your shoulder, giving you all the ashirvad, giving you all the blessings. Feel that. इस समय महसूस करें कि आपके पीछे आपके माता पिता खड़े हैं, आपके दाईं और आपके पीछे आपकी माता खड़ी है, आपके दाईं और आपके पीछे आपके पिता खड़े हैं, और आपके बाईं और आपकी माता खड़ी है. Just feel them. उनका एक एक हाथ जो आपके कंधे पर है. Just receive their love. Receive it completely. I am a new being. नया जन्म है मेरा. जब मैं अपने माता पिता का आशीर्वाद लेकर अपने जीवन में चलता हूँ, तो उनके आशीर्वाद से मेरे जीवन में मैं आगे बढ़ता हूँ, खुशी से अपने जीवन का निर्वाह करता हूँ. With the blessings and the love of my mother, father, when I lead my life, I live my life joyfully. I take this energy with me. I take this image with me of my mother, father standing behind me, supporting me. अपने भ्रू मध्य में इस क्षण को, इस याद को एक पिक्चर के समान खींचता हूँ, जहां मेरे माता पिता मेरे पीछे खड़े हैं, मुझे आशीर्वाद दे रहे हैं. जीवन में अगर कहीं भी अटकूं, हमेशा इस चीज को याद करके, उनको अपने पीछे महसूस करके शक्ति प्राप्त करूंगा. Every time I remind myself of this image, I gather strength from it. Feeling grateful for having them in my life. धीरे धीरे हम वापस आ रहे हैं, एक गहरी लंबी सांस के साथ, प्रकृति के उस दृश्य में वापस आते हुए. धीरे धीरे वापस आते हुए, जब भी हम तैयार हों, हम अपनी आंखें खोल सकते हैं. Welcome back, dear friends. Yes, so you can always, connect to us through our YouTube channel, which is Life Here and Now. You can go on this channel and subscribe to this channel. And in case you would like to have any one-on-one consultations and through Skype or private session, you can always connect to us through this number or email ID. And I think this is it for today. Thank you so much.